Hey everyone, this is Mike and welcome to my walkthrough for the second circle Savage. So again, let's just jump right into it. First mechanic that the boss will do is going to be a raid-wide AoE. This one is going to be called Murky Depths. This one doesn't hit too hard. There's a second one that hits way harder, so you want to save some mitigation for that one instead. Right after this is going to be a double tank buster called Double Impact. So both tanks stack together. Use some cooldowns for this one because it does quite hurt. You can also use an invuln for this if you want to solo this tank buster. Of course, if your co-tank was to be dead, or if you want to save some cooldowns for something else. Sewage Deluge is the hard-hitting raid-wide AoE, and this one will also change the arena to the water form. Now, just like with normal mode, you're only going to be able to stand on these squares and the grades, but new to Savage is going to be the one unsafe tile, which you can see in the top right corner. Spoken Cataract. This one has two different variations. Either it's spoken or winged. That's the only word that you have to look for. If it is spoken, then the mouth of the boss is going to be unsafe because spoken, mouth. If it is winged, then the backside will be unsafe because the back of the head has some wings on it. So two things are gonna happen here. So first thing that we need to look for is spoken or winged. So because it's spoken, the mouth is going to be the unsafe side, and that's going to be a half arena cleave. Secondly, we have the body of the boss, which is also going to be facing a direction, which is going to do a line AoE through the map. Using the grates is going to be your safe spot. So as long as you're standing on the grates here on the square or on the grates here, you're going to be safe, of course, given that the mouth is away from that as well. So we stand on the grates, because it is spoken Cataract, we're standing on the back of the head, and that will resolve this mechanic. Right after this, there's going to be a Tether spawning. This one needs to be picked up by one of the two tanks. This is called Coherence. This is going to make the head jump onto them and do a proximity AoE, or at least we think it is a proximity AoE, so use a cooldown. On the other side, the other tank is going to be standing in front of the group because there will be a group share as well, which is this laser beam that you're seeing right here. The reason why we're putting the tank in the front is because the first person hit takes bonus damage, so use a cooldown. Treat this like another tank buster. Then we have Murky Depths again, so raid-wide AoE. Just put up some light mitigation because it doesn't hurt too much. Then we have Ominous Bubbling. This will mark both of the healers with a stack marker. Then we have Shockwave. He's going to be facing one of the three safe corners, and he's going to be jumping to that corner while also doing a knockback. You can have your knockback immunity, arm's length, or sure cast ready for every time that he does this mechanic. So we have one healer group go underneath the boss, the other group stand close to the boss. That way everybody can keep uptime on the boss as well. And then we have our two AoEs go out. Don't need to reposition the boss here, because he's going to be jumping to the middle himself. And of course the boss also doesn't have positionals, so you don't have to worry about that either. Then Predatory Everest. This is going to be putting 3 debuffs on players, or well, 2 different debuffs, 3 players in total. We have a water debuff, which is going to be a stack marker, and we have 2 water player debuffs, I guess I'll call them, which is going to be a AoE around you that will knock people away. If you get hit by the knockback, you're going to end up in the wall. Also, it's going to be the opposite of what he did before. So because it was spoken Cataract before, it's going to be winged Cataract this time. So we are dodging both the body cleave as well as the wings of the head itself. Again, use the grates, use the arena to dodge this mechanic. Right after this is going to be the resolve of the debuffs. So both me and the other player with our big bubbles run away, whereas the rest of the groups stays behind. You don't need to run to the other side of the arena, but you have time to do so if you have sprint, so you might as well. Next mechanic is Channeling Flow. This is going to look very similar if you've done Diamond Weapon Extreme, but there is a slight variation for this. This is also what we are using our markers for. So we basically want to be pointing this towards our partner, and we want to get knocked into each other. Now, if you stand too close to each other, you're gonna kill each other. So you want to stand as far away as possible. We're using the arena again for this because later we will also need to do this when the water is around. So that is why we have these markers set up like that. Just point them to your partner and you should be fine. This does deal a fair amount of damage, so make sure you're healed up for this. Also make sure you heal your tanks, because there will be another double tank buster following this mechanic, which is right here, Double Impact. Another Murky Depths, raid-wide AoE. Again, don't blow all your mitigation on this, because we have Sewage Deluge coming right after again as well, which requires a little bit of extra mitigation compared to Murky Depths. So Buzz jumps to the middle, again raid-wide AoE. And then it's exactly the same as before in terms of the layout of the arena, but the mechanics that are going to be happening are slightly different. So another Shockwave, this is the knockback, but this time around we get a different mechanic paired together with it. We're gonna have 4 players marked with red numbers and 4 players marked with blue numbers, and I'll talk about what we need to do once everybody is in position. So, the red numbers are going to be getting the head. The head is going to do a point blank AoE on that person and give them a physical vulnerability up. The body is going to be dashing at players in order. So what we do is we start from our unsafe tile and we go clockwise with our purple players. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we're standing in the middle of our grades. Again, you can use the arena for this because there's a little marking that indicates the middle. For our blue players, 1 and 3 go to the opposite side of the arena, 2 and 4 stay on the edge of where the boss is currently at. So, the way this resolves. First, we have the head jump onto 1, the body jumps onto one of the blues. Then the head jumps onto 2, the body jumps onto 2 of the blues. Now the blues need to switch here, so number 3 is gonna stand in front, number 1 is gonna go to the back. Then another jump, so now numbers 2 and 4 switch positions, so 2 goes to the back, 4 goes to the front, and then the final jump, and now the mechanic is resolved. This is very reminiscent of the O12 Savage. If you've done that one, MNF, I'll rewind the mechanic once more so that you can see it play out again. So purples spread themselves clockwise from the unsafe tile, 1 and 3 of the blues go opposite, 2 and 4 stay behind. After the boss dashes to you, you switch positions. Looks very chaotic, but once you know what to do, it is not that bad. And then everybody get healed up, because there is going to be another raid wide soon. But first, we have another tank buster. I'm gonna be taking this one solo with Home Gang, because I wanted to save my cooldowns for what comes after. And then Murky Depths, the raid wide AoE that I was talking about. Then we go back into Channeling Overflow. This is the one with the get knocked into each other. There will be 2 sets of debuffs here, one long set and one short set. Short set is like 15 seconds, the long one is about 30 seconds I think. And we also get Tainted Flood together with this. So the 4 players with the long debuff are going to be getting these circle AoEs. And you'll see the save spots in just a second. So there are 5 save spots for this. We have 2 of the middle grades next to the unsafe tile, and then we have the corners of each of the other squares as well. So those are your 5 save spots. Everybody else needs to make sure that they get knocked into each other. There's only one way you can do this, because otherwise you get knocked into the unsafe tile. So everybody get into position, all the AoEs go out, and then we get ready to do this again. So the long debuffs need to go and take their position now, whereas the ones that had the short debuffs will now be getting the circle AoEs, so everybody stands either in a corner or on a grate next to the unsafe tile, and then the other players go into position to get knocked into each other. Spoken Cataract, so we go to the back of the boss, again, use the arena to your advantage to dodge this mechanic. You can use the arena for a lot of the dodges of this fight. And then the water goes away again. Next up is Predatory Everest, so this is again the debuffs, so stack and 2 players that need to get away. And then we have Dissociation, which is going to be detaching the head. This is like normal mode, where it will do a cleave through 1/2 of the arena. Then the head is going to regrow, and then we're going to get again a Spoken or a Winged Cataract. It's Winged Cataract. So we move to this side. People that stack up go and stand on this little corner of the grate, whereas the other 2 players are going to the back. One is in the corner, one is standing close to the middle of the arena so that they do not hit each other either. Then he is going to be doing this again, so another dissociation is going to be dislocating the head. And this time around, we are actually going to be standing where the head is gonna cleave, because there's gonna be AoEs spawning underneath our feet for 3 sets of AoEs. So we need to bait these around the arena. So we start where the head is cleaving. Sewage Eruption is going to be those AoEs. So first set, second set, Tainted Flood is casting here, third set, and then Tainted Flood is these AoEs on all the players, so everybody needs to spread out after this. Coherence is the tank tether, so again, one tank takes the tether, the other tank stacks with the group, make sure that the other tank is standing in front of the group as well. Then the head jumps, and then the laser beam group share. Then we have another double tank buster, so both of the tanks stack up for this. Or use an invuln, if that is what you want to do. Up to you how you want to handle this one. Again, does hit quite hard, and both tanks just had a tank buster, so make sure that you have mitigation for this and that they are healed up. Another raid-wide AoE Murky Depths. Again, don't mitigate it too hard, because the next one is going to be another Sewage Deluge, which hits way harder. So there it is. This is yet again going to be changing the arena again, and this is the last big set of mechanics that is going to be happening. Again, one of the tiles is going to be unsafe, just like before. Channeling Overflow, this is the get knocked into each other thing, just like before. Long set of debuffs, short set of debuffs. On top of this one, the long debuff tank will now need to grab this Tether, which is a Coherence one, just like before. So make sure you use a cooldown, run away from the group. And then after the knockbacks resolve, everybody needs to stack up together again on the other side of the arena. Because that is going to be the group share. The tank needs to be in front. Unfortunately enough, our tank died. And one of our healers, luckily enough, that healer also got targeted, did not make it to the group, so that only they died, which was kind of lucky, all things considered. Then the second set of debuffs go out. Unfortunately enough, my partner has died, so I'm gonna just fly into the wall. But luckily enough, we managed to salvage the fight. Then another dissociation, so this is the head detaching and cleaving through one side of the arena. And this comes together with another Sewage Eruption. So again, what we're doing right here is kind of wrong, by the way. We should have stayed on this tile, because we should have started baiting our Sewage Eruption from there. But luckily enough, this was still plenty of space to dodge our 3 eruptions. It's going to be a very tiny safe spot over here. So that is why you want to start baiting where the head spawns and not too far away. Ominous Babbling, this is again our healer stacks. And another Shockwave, this is the knockback. So we are going to be using our knockback invulns and moving to where the boss is jumping, just so we can keep some uptime. And then of course spread into your 2 healer stacks. And then there's going to be another double tank buster following this. I'm going to be running away from this one because we were just going to kill the boss anyways. After this, there will be more raid-wide AoEs. I believe there's going to be 2, and then a third one is going to be your Enrage. I do not believe there's any new mechanics after this one, so I think that this is all of the mechanics. At least there's no new mechanics coming after this one. I'm not quite sure if that is the exact timeline. But that's going to do it for this fight. Again, as always, feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions about any of the mechanics, and I'll try to get back to you because we're still progging through the fights, of course, at this point, so I'll try my best to respond to any questions that you might have. But that's gonna do it for me, so I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my Patreons for their support, and I'll see you in the next one.